In this video, I'm going to attempt to explain what the Oversoul is and that it's just a part of the entire soul-to-source complex. Hi there, Astral Family. It's Bodhi Joshua here again. So our bodies are vehicles for an internal, energetic aspect of our consciousness. And that part is our soul. And our soul is an expression of source energy. Is our current understanding of what a soul is actually correct? That's what we're going to get into today. I believe that what we're going to call the soul-to-source complex is much more complicated than the standard two-part model. Now, why do we even have this model? It's because it's simple, it's easy to understand, and easy to explain. I believe that the soul-to-source complex is more like an onion.
Layers! Onions have layers.
There are so many layers between our human experience right now and source energy. I don't believe that we have the capability to even explain the multitude of layers.
Human thought is so primitive, it's looked upon as an infectious disease in some of the better galaxies. That kind of makes you proud, doesn't it? Huh?
And I don't believe we have the capability to understand the multitude of layers in our current evolution. One layer deeper than the two-part model is the three-part model. Duh. Now, in the three-part model, this considers our soul and our projection as a part of a higher or greater entity called the Oversoul. And then the Oversoul is a part or a projection of source energy. So only a small part of our total beingness is in our bodies. We're a part of a much larger consciousness. And that consciousness we can call source consciousness. Our consciousness and our experience is an individualized thread of source consciousness. One of the fundamental abilities of consciousness is the ability to subdivide itself, to create smaller, individualized copies of itself within itself. This subdivision creates a step down in frequency, which creates the sub-selves, all having parallel experiences, contributing to an accelerated evolution of consciousness. It's like running the same equation with different variables, getting a different answer with just changing one tiny variable. But there's a multitude of changes that can occur per equation that's run. This subdivision process is a general ability and has been performed on every level of the soul-to-source complex. Consciousness is a multi-level branching structure. You can envision it like a tree. Source consciousness is the trunk of the tree. The preceding layers of the soul-to-source complex can be considered a branch. Then it splits into smaller branches, which split into twigs, which then have leaves on the end of every twig. And that leaf is our expression as an individualized thread of source consciousness. Now, above our Oversoul, we can have what's called a soul group or a soul family. This is just another way of explaining the multitude of levels of this very complicated system. Some sources say that there are 2,135 soul groups within the current Earth experiment participating in this current Earth experience. Each soul group can split into 144,000 oversouls. This number comes up a lot in religions, spirituality, and metaphysical subjects. Each oversoul can subdivide into 12 souls, like the 12 tribes of Judah. There are many examples of this knowledge within history. And each soul can have up to 144 parallel existences occurring at the same time. Now, these numbers are arbitrary. They could mean something, they could not. We can take them or we can leave them. But it gives us something to base it on and something to discuss. So let's go with it. What do we have to lose? Now, why are these numbers important? Most beings in the universe resonate at such a high frequency, they are non-physical entities. A physical body is a vehicle that is required for these entities to obtain physical experiences. Now, while this physical experience is very challenging, it's like a spiritual fast pass. Going through human lives accelerates your spiritual evolution at an exponential rate. We can learn so much from the limitations of a physical existence, but that's what makes it a desirable experience for most spiritual entities. the spiritual evolution acceleration that is obtained through a physical light. That's what is desirable for the soul, because most of the universe has a non-physical existence. They resonate at such a high frequency that they don't have physical bodies. You have to step down the frequency to a much lower level to obtain the physical experiences. Our higher self is the Oversoul. It's an immensely wise and powerful being. It's always trying to encourage us to have the best experiences, to become the best versions of ourselves, which contributes to the Oversoul becoming the best version of itself. It's a compounding of the spiritual experience. Our connection with our higher self can be very disrupted by our egoic minds, by the busyness of our worlds. Our higher self whispers, and we have to quiet our egoic mind to hear it. Meditation, breathing exercises, these are all great ways to begin to listen to our higher selves. It only wants the best for us. It only wants the best for our experience. It betters itself by bettering our experience, but we have to pay attention. We have to quiet ourselves. We have to listen. Hey, if you've made it this far, we're really trying to share this message and grow our Ascension family. If you could hit that subscribe button and that thumbs up and maybe the bell, it'll really help the algorithm and push this video out to more like minds. And the Oversoul is like an ocean, and each experience that the Oversoul has through the souls and the subdivisions of our personal individualized experience. It's a collective experience. When we return to the higher levels of the soul to source complex, we share our experience with that level. What our experience knows, our soul knows, and then our Oversoul knows what our souls know, and then source knows what each Oversoul knows. With this model, it's easy to understand how some people can have the same past life regressions, how some people can all have been Cleopatra, because the knowledge is shared once it's experienced. And that shared knowledge is accessible to us in our individualized experience through different modalities like trance states, hypnosis, shamanic experiences. These are all ways to access the pool of knowledge that our Oversoul has accrued in its spiritual evolution. Another way that the Oversoul accelerates its spiritual evolution is through parallel life paths. You ever wonder what your life would be like if you would have made a different decision at a major turning point in your life? If you would have gone left instead of going right? If you would have married that person instead of not? What would your life be? How would your life be different today? Do you ever wonder? Your Oversoul wonders this exact thing. So your Oversoul allows each one of those choices and each one of those major life paths to express itself, to experience that expression of each one of those paths. This is what the Oversoul wants. It wants to know. It wants to experience as many options of the equation that it can. The Oversoul wants to know the answers to all of these different paths, so it subdivides itself again into subthreads of our individual experience. At every major decision, at every major turning point, at every waypoint in your life, the soul divides its consciousness yet again to follow the subthreads of consciousness and experience each alternate path. Now, this method of the multi-threaded parallel experiences is the way that the soul maximizes its evolutionary potential, which in turn increases each subsequent level of the soul to source complex. Now, the experience points gained from using this method are massive. Why is this important? The realization that all threads lead back to source can bring you to the knowledge that all is one, that we are all the same consciousness being expressed in our individual aperture. It's like one point of light within the sun, but we are all a part of that giant light, and we're just fractals of source consciousness. We're all here to experience our greater selves. That's the whole name of this game. To ascend to the higher levels, to go deeper, to find the next challenge, to win the game. This shines a light on that everything you do matters. Every small action is an addition to your experience. It's like adding one more drop to the collective experience. I hope this video brought you some knowledge, and that knowledge can be applied for you to experience the highest version of yourself. Thank you very much. Again, my name is Bodhi Joshua, and I'm your spiritual Sherpa. I've been up the mountain many times, and I'm here to help you gain the knowledge, to have the confidence, to ascend to the next level. Please leave a comment down below, If you have any questions, I'm always here to answer.